This is Loretta Edmonds. My brother, Donald Edmonds, a pianist and a member of Local 802 since 1967, died on January 6th, 2024. Music was his life. Don was born in Philadelphia to a musical family and started to study piano at the age of 5. He attended the Academy of Notre Dame, St. Joseph's Prep, Northeast Catholic High School, and the Philadelphia Conservatory of Music. He began his professional career as a teenager and later studied with Lenny Tristano, Bernard Payfair, and John Mahagan. He played jazz and music of every genre for many years in New York, Philadelphia, all over the United States and Canada, and even in England. He appeared in concerts at Lincoln Center with the Gotham Jazz Orchestra. He was featured in numerous TV shows, and he also recorded jingles for Pepsi, Burger King, Campbell's Soup, and Schaefer Beer. He was featured in the 1999 movie Earthly Possessions, starring Susan Sarandon. He recorded an album called Philadelphia Reunion of all original compositions. He also appeared on many other albums, including In a Christmas Mood with the Starlight Orchestra, the Lou Anderson Big Band album, and Who Sent Ya?, a jazz album with the Sam Ulano Band. Don traveled around the country and performed with big bands led by Buddy DeFranco, Charlie Ventura, Lou Anderson, Gene Roland, Lester Lannon, and Peter Dushin. When he appeared on the Joe Franklin TV show, he was described as being an outstanding young American jazz pianist. In recent years, Don had been playing with the jazz orchestra at Swing 46, as well as at Arthur's Tavern and many other top venues around town. As recently as the summer of 2023, he played an outdoor jazz concert in Lincoln Towers Park. He spoke French and had a great ear for dialects and regional accents. He particularly loved the French-speaking part of Canada. When he traveled to Quebec, he said that the French-Canadian language sounded like it had been frozen in time from the era of 16th century explorer Jacques Cartier. He loved good food and was a gourmet cook. Although he had lived in New York for many years, he still loved his hometown of Philadelphia and visited there frequently. He was a great musician, but also a good and kind man with a great intellect and wit. He will be greatly missed by all who loved him. This concert was presented on October 19th, 2025 in New York City.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for coming. Before we get started, please check your cell phones, your Apple Watches, your iPads, your iPods, and Bluetooth, and silence all your devices. Thanks very much. And here is Loretta Edmonds.
Explain what I'm going to do first. A few years ago, we did a concert with Boots and Bill Lewis, another musician friend of mine, where I would do an aria or a concert song, and then they did the jazz version. So I want to perform with my brother today, if I can get through it, and I'm going to do the legit version of yesterday's, and then you're going to hear Don's jazz version, which I recorded when he was playing at the Lincoln Center Library with the Gotham Jazzmen. And the band would play, then they would go off in the middle, and Don would do solos. So that's what we're going to do now. Yesterdays, yesterdays, days I knew as happy, sweet sequestered days, golden days, golden days, days of mad romance and love. Then gay youth was mine. Truth was mine. Joy is free and flaming life forsooth was mine. Sad am I, glad am I, for today I'm dreaming of yesterday. Okay, now you're going to hear Don's version. I had it queued up, it should be okay. Okay.
can introduce K&A and
Okay.
CD.
Okay, we have just the best musicians in the world here today. I can't even express how grateful I am for all of them coming and sharing their talents with us. So we're going to do music now that was written by my brother. And the first number is called K&A. K&A stands for Kensington and Allegheny, which was an intersection in Philadelphia, a very bustling place. There was an L station there. There were miles and miles of stores and commercial things. And it was a lively place. So I think you'll hear that in the music, K&A.
Counting out? Mike, got it. Okay. Ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, the next one is called Saints of 77. And for anyone who's from the Philadelphia area, Local 77 was the Musicians Union. It was one of the first in the country. My father was a founding member, and Don and I both joined that local, and I'm sure John did too, when we were teenagers. So Don wrote this as a tribute to all the musicians who had belonged to it and who lived and died and loved music. Okay, the next one is self-explanatory. It's Song for Dad, for our father. That was beautiful. Before I go on, I forgot something I was going to say right at the beginning. I want to thank Boots Maleson, who has done so much. And Joan. I could not have done it without them. Thank you so much. Okay, the next is a sad one. Susan of East Falls. Susan was a sweetheart of my brother's who died young. So it was sad, but nobody ever wrote a song for me. I don't know. I guess I just lived through it. Okay, this last tune is a happy one. How many people are familiar with the Mummers Parade in Philadelphia on New Year's? Okay. Well, the Mummers originated in South Philly, and they were famous for what? And they were famous for a strut. When Don and I were kids, we used to do the strut, you know. So anyway, this is Don's playful version of the South Philly strut at the Mummers Parade.
One, two, one, two.
That was Boots Maleson on bass, Ascher on piano, John Simon on sax, and Mike Campenni on drums. Just wonderful. You just did a great job on my brother's music. Thank you. Thank you so much. Lou? Okay, we have with us today the great Lou Tabackin. Lou is also from Philadelphia, so we have quite a few people who are representing our hometown. And
We all left.
we all left. I know we all left.
I wonder why.
So Lou is going to do 2 numbers. What are you doing first?
I will do goodbye.
Goodbye, and I'm going to try not to cry, and then he's going to do I'll Be Seeing You.
Very, very good. Thank you.
Okay, should I try it? didn't have time to learn John's charts. But next time.
They did a great job.
But anyway, John was too good anyway. John was, I don't think I could have done a better job. Anyway, thank you very much.
Oh, that was wonderful. I thought we were going to fly right out of the room. Thank you so much, Lou. We have some very talented ladies who are going to perform. And by the way, anyone who wants to reminisce about Don or has any stories, you know, just come up and we'll fit you in. And there are many stories, of course. So first we're going to have the fabulous Sid Livingston. Who is an old friend of Don's and a great singer.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you talk about
You got it, baby.
your connection with Don. Okay.
You know me, I can talk. Too much sometimes. Yes, I love Don. I've been a singer since I was 8 years old with my twin sister in Oklahoma. And then we moved out to California and joined a vocal group. And then Mel Torme recommended us to the Cy Zentner Band. And then I met my ex-husband, Eddie Cacavelli, until he had the 7-year itch. And then we got to... Then I was with Ray Mosca for like 40 years. So drummers are like drummers. Hello. Anyway, when I went to work at the Gaslight Club, when I came to New York, we had a great old jazz, blues piano player. And when he passed away, Saul Yeager hired Don Edmonds. And I said, when I had the pleasure of working with Don, he was such a great pianist, especially for singers. Because I said, nope, Don Edmonds, or I'm not doing it. Because he was really terrific. And, we were friends for many years. I met his beautiful sister, Loretta. And, and my friend Linda over here, she worked at the club too, and she's going to sing afterwards. And we really loved Don. Don was the greatest. And I knew Boots, who's fabulous, of course. And so I guess we'll do... The sky was blue, yeah, and 2 choruses and bum 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 bum. Gotcha. The sky was blue and high above. The moon was new and so was love. This eager heart of mine was singing, lover, where can you be? You came at last, love had to stay. That day is past, you've gone away. This aching heart of mine keeps singing, lover, where can you be? I remember every little thing you used to do. I'm so lonely. Every road I walked along with you. No wonder I am lonely. The sky is blue, the night is cold, the moon is new, but love is old. And while I'm waiting here, this heart of mine keeps singing, lover, come back to me. The sky was blue and high above. The moon was new and so was love. This eager heart of mine was singing, lover, where can you be? You came at last, love had its day. That day is past, you've gone away. This aching heart of mine keeps singing, lover, where can you be? I remember every little thing you used to do. I'm lonely. Every road I've walked along with you. No wonder I am lonely. The sky is blue, the night is cold. love is old. And while I'm waiting here, it's hard to find. Keep singing, lover, come back to me. Oh, lover, come back to me. Oh, lover, come back to me. Ba-do-do-do. Thank you. Now Linda's going to come up, my friend Linda. And I have laryngitis, so forgive me, and I can barely make it. Anyway, I'll go.
I'm telling you, I love working with Sid for many, many years, and then we teamed up together. And Don Edmonds was always our pianist. Absolutely. We wouldn't have anyone else. I mean, he even knew my keys before I knew them. I would say, hey, Don, what key do I do this in? And he'd say, B flat. Okay. Tempo? Up tempo. He knew it all. He knew it, all of us. I love him, and I miss him, and we all miss him, I know. Anyway, I'm doing a slow tune, I Cried for You in G, and just a little tempo, and that's all. Okay? In G, could you give me a note, please? I cried for you. Now it's your turn to cry over me. Every road has its turning. That's why I'm yearning. I cry for you. What a fool I used to be. Now I found me two eyes, just a little bit bluer. I found me a heart, just a little bit truer. I cried for you. Now it's your turn to cry over me. Thank you, and Sid. Thank you. Sid's coming up with me, and we're gonna do a fast tune.
I hope so.
Don't mean a thing. She says you hope so. Okay.
Get on that side.
There you go. Okay? You're going right into it, though.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
It don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is sing. Do what, 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 do what. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. I give that rhythm everything you've got. Oh, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do what, 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 do what. What good is melody? What good is music if it ain't possessing something sweet? It ain't the melody, it ain't the music. There's something else that makes it too complete. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do what, 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 do what. It don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is sing. Do what, 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 do what. Makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Got to give that rhythm all you got. Oh, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do what, 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 do what. One more time. Do what, 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 do what. Do what, 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 do what. Yeah. tried. We haven't done that in ages. But Don used to do great with us.
Oh, that was wonderful. Let's have some applause for these two ladies. Okay. Now, we have another talented lady, Lynn McCune. Don used to play at Swing 46, and Lynn sang with the big band, and she's still there. And she was a special friend of Don's and of mine. And Lynn is going to do On a Slow Boat to China.
Yeah, Loretta laughed when I said what I was singing. I didn't realize everyone's going to do so much sentimental stuff. But Don used to love to tease me. My second set is I call my saucy set. And sometimes I get all kind of dressed up and, kind of floozied up. And afterwards, he'd come back and say, well, welcome back. I don't know who that floozy was that was singing the second set, but I'm glad you're back. So I did try to dress a little conservatively today. But this is one of my saucy tunes, On a Slow Boat to China. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Get you and keep you in my arms evermore. Leave all your lovers weeping on a faraway shore. Out on the briny, 'neath the moon, big and shiny, I'd melt your heart of stone. I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Out on the briny, 'neath that moon, big and shiny, I'd melt your heart made of stone. I'd love to get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself. Don't bring your cell phone, I want you all to myself alone. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you, Lynn. Yes, yes. Oh. Okay, John Metcalf. John? Well, he was here.
Was that it before the jam session?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if he comes back, I guess we should.
Okay, if anybody finds John. Does anyone want to come up and tell any stories about Don or share any memories? Please, please, come up. Yes. Would anyone volunteer to go out and see if they could find John?
My name is Warren Chasson. I play the vibes. Thank you. And for many years, I've known Don, Swing 46 and Parker Meridian. And we always had a really wonderful relationship and talking about. He would call me at all hours, and he always would preface with a wonderful story to tell. Sometimes he would have a joke to tell me, and wondering if I'm going to react to it in the proper way. But anyway, it was always a delightful moment to share with Don, because he was such a great person, and he was so self-effacing. You know, you'd never know that he had this greatness in him if you just talked to him. But I had heard him play, and whenever we would talk on the phone, we would talk about all kinds of things, all wonderful compositions in music, and he really had a huge remembrance of all the great tunes. And otherwise, on top of that, we got into philosophy, you know, and talked about different things, and his mind was so wide, you know, like for all of these topics. And the last time I heard from him, he had a great guy, great instrumentalist in Philadelphia, great friend called Larry McKenna. And I had played with Larry at one particular time. They brought me in to do a series of concerts, and one of them was at the Philadelphia Club, the Clef Club. And Larry was on the gig. We had a great time. We'd never had played with each other at all, but it just like, it was just so beautiful. You know, he had this great tone, and it's like, his time was impeccable. And so anyway, as we were talking, he said, look, I just heard from Larry. And he says, Larry gave me a call a couple of weeks ago. And he said, he says, Don, he says, I'm calling to say goodbye. Because he had a lung condition and he knew that he was on the way out. But what is very strange about this is that about 3 weeks, a month, maybe after that, Don was gone. And I thought I would mention that particular incident. But just a great human being, a great musician, a great mind. I'm going to miss him an awful lot, and I know that you will also. Thank you.
As a last piece before, we have a lot of musicians in the house who I'm hoping are to come up and play, including Warren, who just spoke, who is a vibes player but also plays piano. And John Simon is going to do one more number, Memories of You. Thanks. Now, I want everybody to know that there's actually food and drink outside. Do you have anything else to say, Loretta?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
I forgot to thank these fabulous musicians for playing for Linden. They're great, fabulous. I love you, Loretta. You know how much. And I love Don to the moon and back.
And Sid?
It's been great. And Linda's going to say something.
I have to say something now, too, because they were really great. And it's like, I couldn't believe. They are so great, all of them. And thank you so much for letting us get up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, as Booth said, we have food and wine and cookies and all kinds of stuff. Did John Metcalf come back? No. Okay, all right. Jerry, did you want to get up and say anything? Come up and use the mic. This is our cousin Jerry, who came in from Pennsylvania. Also, I want to mention two great friends, Jim McEwen, who came all the way from San Francisco. Thank you, Jim. And Christine Quinn Dawson, who's the daughter of my brother's best friend from childhood, who came all the way from Mobile, Alabama. Right? And my friend Gail Stahlhuth, who came up from Cape May. And of course, my cousin, who came from Pennsylvania. Okay.
Well, the Edmonds were a musical family. Loretta's dad was the oldest My dad was the youngest. Your dad played bass and guitar. My dad played saxophone. And they were characters, both of them, especially your dad. Well, Don must have inherited the storytelling part of it because he could really keep your attention with a story. And he always had a joke and always pleasant. But, as families do, sometimes you kind of drift apart. And we had not been in touch for a while. And my brother, Richard, and Don were exactly the same age, only a month apart. They went to high school together. And when my brother came down with Parkinson's, Don reached out, and he started coming from New York on a regular basis down to see him. And, like somebody said, that's a schlep, like you had to get down there. And then I became the chauffeur and picked up Don and took him to deliver him. But then we started to talk on the phone on a regular basis, and he always started the conversation the same way. Is this Geraldine Eidemann or Edeman? Or he'd mispronounce the name, which is why they changed it to Edmonds, right, for professional reasons. But we always had interesting conversations. He was just a big-hearted person, and he went out of his way for my brother to renew that friendship, and I really appreciated that about him. But we just really miss him, Loretta, and everybody does, I'm sure. I said to somebody before, I don't think he ever burned a bridge. He came down to Philadelphia for his high school friends, for his childhood friends, just stayed in touch with everyone. And that's really a tribute to him, really, that he kept those friendships. So, thank you.
Okay. Is all of the food back here, or is it some outside? Okay.
It's not stomach.
Okay. So now we'll be a little loose. Let me ask, I see several musicians, Bill Wurzel on guitar, and Jordan Sankey at trumpet, and Warren, who's a vibe player, but also plays piano. Is there a drummer in the house? And we have a bass player, Tom Kirchner. So why don't you guys start to come up and give these guys a break? And Tom, you want to play my bass, or do you want to take yours out?
Yeah, pleasure, man.
And Carol Sunwalker is here. And others who I didn't see.
Oh, Carol. How you doing? Oh, great. Carol Sunwalker.
Yes.
Very good.
Well,
There Will Never Be Another You. And I want to thank all the musicians who, for people who don't know, we have Carol Sudhalter playing her tenor. We have Jordan Sankey on trumpet. Bill Wurtzel on guitar, who's got to head out now. We have Warren Chasson on piano, and Tom Kirchmer on bass, and John Paul Biaggi on drums. All musicians who knew and loved Don. Now, I don't know, are you keep playing? There's food out there, Tom, if you want me to check it. Let's go eat. What's that? Okay, so why don't you plug in here and I'll get a sound. Okay. Can you play one more so I can play one? Sure. Okay, it's right here. Sorry. It just couldn't match what I was saying on the bridge. Fine, perfect. I loved it. So we're gonna do a trio tune. What do you want to do? Yeah, I love that too.
No, I'm asking.
So there's, lots of cookies and food, so maybe we should go get some.
And wine, yes.
And wine, there's all.
Lots of wine.
Oh, Jordan, I didn't get a chance to play with you. I will.
Okay, that's it.
You need help getting home at all or anything?
No.
This is so nice. Thank you so much for inviting me to.
Oh, you're welcome.
And that song yesterday, did Don write that one?
Yeah.
A 10-minute walk from here.
Oh, okay. You sang it beautifully. It made it
Oh,
warmed my
thank you.
heart.
Thank
My wife's from
It really did. Thank you.
Flushing. Thanks. Thanks, Mark. Oh, okay.